North Korean leader Kim Jong Un has delivered a firm rejection of U.S. demands for denuclearization, unequivocally stating that North Korea's nuclear arsenal is untouchable and non-negotiable. This resolute stance effectively snubs President Donald Trump's long-standing policy objective, while simultaneously signaling a conditional willingness for future dialogue, provided Washington abandon its insistence on immediate denuclearization. Kim Jong Un's declaration reinforced North Korea's deeply entrenched position that its nuclear weapons are essential for its national security and deterrence against perceived external threats, particularly from the United States. For North Korea, the development and maintenance of its nuclear capabilities represents a significant achievement, a source of national pride, and a critical component of its sovereign defense strategy. This perspective directly clashes with the U.S. demand for complete, verifiable, and irreversible denuclearization, which has been the cornerstone of American diplomatic effort for decades. The rejection underscores the fundamental disconnect between the two nations' approaches to peace and security on the Korean Peninsula. Kim's posture indicates that North Korea is prepared to withstand continued international sanctions, viewing them not as a punitive measure, but as a testament to the nation's resilience and strength in the face of adversity. This defiance attitude complicates any potential diplomatic breakthrough, as it places a significant hurdle in front of President Trump's stated desire for a renewed engagement with the North Korean leader, demanding a fundamental shift in U.S. policy if any substantive progress is to be made. Despite Kim Jong Un's strong rejection of denuclearization, President Donald Trump has expressed continued interest in meeting with the North Korean leader again this year, indicating a persistent hope for diplomatic resolution. This sustained interest from President Trump highlights a recognition that direct engagement with Kim Jong Un may be the most viable, if not the only path to managing tensions and preventing further escalations on the Korean Peninsula. The potential for a third summit between the two leaders suggests a willingness on the U.S. side to explore alternative approaches to diplomacy, possibly moving away from an all-or-nothing demand for denuclearization towards a more incremental process. Such a shift might involve discussions on arms control, confidence-building measures, or a phased approach to denuclearization that acknowledge North Korea's security concerns. Meanwhile, South Korean President Lee Myung has actively appealed for robust American supports to finally end the long-standing division on the Korean Peninsula. President Lee's urgent call for cooperation underscores the deep desire within South Korea for lasting peace and reconciliation, emphasizing that the U.S. plays a pivotal role in achieving this goal. His efforts aim to bridge the gap between Washington and Pyongyang, advocating for a diplomatic strategy that prioritizes engagement over isolation. The South Korean government views the U.S. as an indispensable partner in navigating the complex geopolitical landscape of Northeast Asia, believing that a unified front is crucial for de-escalating tensions and fostering a more stable regional environment. The contrasting positions, Kim's firm refusal to abandon nuclear weapons and Trump's eagerness for dialogue, coupled with President Lee's appeals, create a nuanced and delicate diplomatic situation, fraught with both challenges and opportunities for breakthrough. Kim Jong Un emphasized that North Korea's nuclear arsenal is untouchable, signals a profound strategic calculation. The nation is willing to endure prolonged international sanctions rather than relinquishing what it considers its ultimate security guarantee. For Pyongyang, these sanctions have paradoxically become a display of resilience, strength, fostering a narrative of self-reliance and national defiance against external pressure. The North Korean regime has historically utilized sanctions to rally its population, framing them as unjust act of aggression by hostile powers designed to cripple its economy and undermine its sovereignty. This propaganda reinforced the idea that the nations must remain united and steadfast in the face of adversity, further solidifying the leadership's control. The country's ability to continue its weapon development programs despite extensive international restrictions demonstrate a sophisticated network of circumvention and a determined will to prioritize its strategic goals above all else. This unwavering commitment to its nuclear program presents a formidable challenge to the international community, which has largely relied on sanctions as the primary tool to compel denuclearization. The perception within Pyongyang is that any concession on its nuclear arsenal would leave it vulnerable to external coercion, echoing the fate of other nations that have disarmed without achieving corresponding security assurance. Therefore, the continued development and refinement of its nuclear and missile capabilities serve as a powerful bargaining chip intended to force the US and its allies to acknowledge North Korea as a legitimate nuclear power and engage on terms that respect its security interests. This complex dynamic underscores the deep-seated mistrust and differing strategic priorities that continues to define the relationship between North Korea and the global powers. The current diplomatic landscape surrounding North Korea is characterized by a delicate balance between persistent ideological clashes and intermittent, albeit fragile, overture for dialogues. Kim Jong Un's firm rejection of denuclearization as a precondition for talks placed the onus on the US to reconsider its approach, prompting a re-evaluation of what constitutes a realistic and achievable diplomatic outcome. The challenge for President Trump is to find a path that allows for engagement without appearing to legitimize North Korea's nuclear status, a balance that has proven exceedingly difficult to strike. The international community, including key regional players like South Korea, Japan, and China, remains deeply invested in finding a peaceful resolution to the nuclear issues, recognizing the catastrophic implications of any military conflict on the Korean Peninsula. However, the differing national interests and strategic priorities among these stakeholders further complicates the diplomatic environment, making a unified approach challenging to achieve. The long-standing division of the Korean Peninsula continues to be a source of instability, with both North and South Korea maintaining vast military forces along their heavily fortified border. The ongoing appeals from South Korean President Lee Jae-moon for American support to end this division highlight the humanitarian and geopolitical urgency of resolving the conflict. The path forward remains uncertain, demanding innovative diplomatic strategies, sustained international cooperations, and a willingness from all parties to compromise at non-essential demands while safeguarding their core security interests. The future of peace and stability in Northeast Asia hinge on the ability of these leaders to navigate this intricate web of tensions and opportunities for constructive engagement. If you haven't made it this far, congratulations, you have unlocked the truth. I want to ask you a question. Should the US consider a phased approach with sanction relief for incremental steps, or is maintaining maximum pressure the only way to avoid legitimizing a nuclear North Korea? Share your strategic assessment of how to break this deadlock in the comments below. Join the debate and share your analysis. Like the video and most importantly, subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.